on June the 16th, 2016, and here we are again, talking to our dear friend, Justin Reeves. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Director of Finance here at Green Spring.
Yes.
Welcome aboard.
Glad to be here.
What's new in finance?
Well, I'll start out just with the finances. Again, we got the information in for May. Again, did very well this month. Actually, kind of exceeded budget, so we're favorable to budget, which means we're working efficiently, and luckily all the residents are paying their bills on time, so we always appreciate that. But again, financially stable, and we're in a great place here at Green Spring.
In answer to my question as, are we financially healthy? Your answer is?
Yes, most definitely.
That's always a good thing. It can be repeated every day.
Yeah.
It's just good to hear.
Good to know.
Here again, I feel that Green Spring, and I may be wrong, but I feel that they are the flagship of the Erickson community. And if this flagship is in good health, hopefully all the other communities similar.
That's a good standpoint. I would say we're probably one of the flagships in the entire country as well, just because I read just some national news just about the CCRC industry and kind of hearing what other communities are going through financially and operationally. We are fortunate not to have those problems.
You had really anticipated what I was going to chat with you about. Is my question was going to be, how do we stack up against other CCRCs throughout the United States? I'm sure you have that data in front of you in your office.
Well, the data is sometimes hard to aggregate just because a lot of them are private companies. So getting information from private companies is rather hard. However, especially if they're a nonprofit, you can, and this is public information, you can always review the Tax Form 990, which lists all the information you would really want to know. It's in a little different format financially than we're used to, but it's in a good enough format to understand it.
Well, on rare occasions, I do hear people around the dining room table say, I wonder how our finances are, and you're answering us, which is great. Hopefully those people are looking in on the show, and they'll feel reassured from your words.
Definitely, and I want to thank everyone for coming out to the annual meeting. I think it was probably a month ago now, where a couple of board members came down and I gave a 2015 financial overview and got a lot of good questions from that, and we're just trying to provide the necessary information to everyone so they can feel comfortable that their Green Spring's healthy and they're in a good position.
Justin, I do want to ask you one question. Your office came out with the notice. In fact, it was on the last bill about switching over banks.
Yes.
Was there a reason for that?
Yes. So the actual reason was in our bond agreements. There was an agreement that at a certain point in time, we would switch from whatever bank we're currently using to SunTrust, because SunTrust actually holds our bonds. However, that's only for the payments that are sent. The PNC is going to stay here on campus. They'll be here. That's not changing as far as I know for the foreseeable future.
Quite honestly, I pay my bill by dropping it in the slot.
No problem.
So quite honestly, I didn't know that we had residents who paid to the bank. And I can only assume that at a certain time of the month, the bank then notifies you as to who has paid. Is this correct, or am I off?
No, they don't notify us, just because out of roughly 2,000 residents, that would probably inundate them a lot. However, I do review our bank accounts daily, so I see the actual amount of money going into the account, and if anyone doesn't pay, we have a tracking system through our accounts receivable system to say this person hasn't paid this month or hasn't paid in X amount of time, and we follow up with them accordingly.
Okay, that answers that question. So what else do you have for us?
So I would like to promote our Transitioning to Garden Ridge overview form.
Oh, yes.
Hopefully you've seen the advertisements via easel, this flyer, which is around. We provided everyone, hopefully, a copy of this, and luckily we've gotten a lot of traction so far. So.
Well, I see where you're sold out, if I can use the word loosely, on the first session.
Correct. On June 23rd, the noon to 1:30 session, we are sold out, and that was actually sold out within, I want to say, a week or a week and a half.
Really?
So because of that, we actually added a session on Friday, July 8th, from noon to 1:30, because that looks like a popular time.
I use the term sold out. Let's hasten to add that there's no fee involved here.
No, it's no fee, but we want to keep the numbers around 60 to maybe 70, just because after that, it probably, the questions that'll be asked, we just want to stay within the time frame to respect everyone's time and make sure we answer everyone's questions thoroughly. But it's good information to be shared. We got a lot of people from our leadership team, just from several departments: finance, the administration, social work, the Garden Ridge team, and philanthropy, and a couple of others as well, because we just want to provide a certain level of information to the residents, as well as hopefully this will prompt residents to come down and see finance, see philanthropy, go to their social work and get some additional detail, just because we all know just when that time comes when you would have to go to Garden Ridge, it may not be we want it to be a smooth transition, but we know it could be a little hectic for families and residents as well. So hopefully this will be successful, and we can do it. I think our plan is to do it twice a year in the same format.
Justin, we know that the first session is sold out, but would you like to repeat to us the dates that you have set up for subsequent sessions?
Okay.
And times and places. Well, where's it going to be held?
So it's going to be held in the Agatank room. And like you said, the June 23rd session is sold out. So the next session after that is Tuesday, July 19th. And that's actually from 6 to 7:30. So people can bring their family members, their POAs, their accountants, financial planners, lawyers, etc. So that was the reason for that time frame. We also have a Saturday session on July 23rd. From 2 o'clock to 3:30. Again, everyone can't make it during the week or in the middle of the day or at the end of the day, so we wanted a weekend session to bring those family members, POAs, etc. And the new session, which is held on Friday, July 8th, will be from noon to 1:30. Again, I think there's enough demand where residents that are currently here would want to attend a noon session. Light refreshments will be served as well, so please expect that, and just come with any questions that you have. Again, we want to keep this at not a high level. We'll get into some detail, but we just if the question's too detailed or if we want a sidebar, we can note that and follow up with the resident or their family members to say, come down and see us.
I think you just brought out a very important point. That is a follow-up. That's great. That you and your staff would be willing to sit down individually if the question is so complex. I've got a little story that I want to tell you, Justin, about your division or your directorate. I was chatting with one of our residents, and she had some difficulty. There was an error on her bill. She went over to your office earlier this week. And when she told me, after she had seen you all, what she had experienced, it was nothing but great. She said immediately the error was corrected. It was not part of, it was some of the input given that was erroneously given on the figure. And secondly, she was treated with courtesy. And I think that speaks well for you and your staff, the way they handle the resident here and their errors and their problems.
No, thank you for that feedback, and I'll definitely have to give a shout out to the team: Marcia Ware, Greg Zernhelt, Dana Brown, and FEMA Watson Brown, because they do just an awesome job. You just have to realize at any given point in time, we're just inundated with a lot of questions, and they're great at just kind of dealing with that individual, not trying to rush them through. And I'm glad that error could be corrected during that time. However, sometimes it may take us a couple of days to follow back up and get something corrected, but I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate the story.
I was just told we have about 2 minutes, and I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
I'm seeing so much paving done, roofing done, and my question is, all of the money that's spent for the paving of the roads and the roofs, does that come out of the operating funds?
So it does come out of the operating funds in terms of payment. We're lucky to have a certain level of cash flow where we can pay for these things. But these are all that you see, the asphalt, the roofing, they were budgeted probably around the middle of last year. So we anticipated these projects.
That was budgeted.
Yeah,
no.
we rarely have large projects that just come up, right? Or that we don't anticipate. So we plan far ahead. I mean, we're developing a budget for the next 5 years to figure out what needs to be done with these buildings, just because you have to plan ahead and we have to set those dollars aside for that.
That's a good point. And with that, I'm going to say thank you profusely for coming over, taking time out from your job over there to say hello to us and pass on all this good information. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we have a roll-in on Eye on Green Spring. No, I'm wrong. We have a roll-in period.